Hello, everyone. My name is Vernice, and this is my podcast, Speak Up. Shout out to my new listeners out there. For those of you that don't know, the mission statement for this podcast is we use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect. This is a place for self-love and respect. Hope you guys are enjoying your May so far. May is just flying already. I'm like shocked. I don't know where 2025 went. Okay, so we just gonna have to keep moving through it smoothly. I'm excited for today's episode. I have a very amazing guest. I'm excited to pick his brain, get to know him a little more about him and his craft. You guys give it up for Dorian Jones, author and speaker. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Welcome to Speak Up.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. Let's see your welcome. How's your May going so far?
May is going well. I can't complain about it at all. It's been a great month. Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm excited about that. Excited to bring awareness to that and just keep on pushing through. Honestly, getting ready for the summer. Like you said, it's speeding by. It's like the year's gone already.
And for Mental Health Awareness Month, do you have any any type of content you want to create for it?
So I made a podcast episode about it already, just to bring awareness, and then also just posting things on social media to letting people know that it's okay not to be okay, and to speak up. It's not a weakness, and just encourage more people to share their stories and also just check in with themselves as well.
I'm glad you brought up it's okay to not be okay, because I think especially with social media, there's this notion like we got to always have it together, and it's not true. So I love that. So before we get into the episode, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I grew up in the Watts area, and it was a learning curve for me, especially as I got older, when I began to realize that the world was much bigger than what I was used to, and I was exposed to different things, and it had me question my life about the things that I knew and where I wanted to go in my life. So that put me on a trajectory to really learn about myself and learn about growth and discover new habits and mindsets that were never presented to me. And these things put me on that thing of asking myself, why wasn't these things taught to me when I was younger? Why did I have to discover these things later on in life? So that's what made me get onto my path of encouraging other people, because I had went through depression. In my late 20s, I hit a deep depression where I didn't feel aligned. I felt like there was more for me, but I just didn't have the answers. And that's where I began speaking. I began to educate others about the things that I discovered later in life that I wanted to help them with, because I feel like these things shouldn't be foreign to us. These things should be talked about more, especially in the Black community, because we always taught to be strong. We always taught to be tough. We never taught to express ourselves. We never taught to deal with conflicts in a certain manner. And I just wanted to bring awareness to that. And that's where my journey began. And that's what got me here today.
Oh my goodness. Beautiful answer. Yeah. And it's crazy that you say all that, because tonight's episode is actually about rewiring your mindset and having to unlearn things and just get out of certain things, habits that we had growing up. So no, thank you for sharing that. So you have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast, Diligent Minds.
So the podcast is all about personal development and mindset. So I talk about habits. I talk about a lot of things within the personal development realm, and also mental health now a little bit more, because I actually went back to school to become a psychologist, because that's something I want to do as well. Something I want to add on to my belt. And I feel like, why not add the mental health aspect as well? And I just talk about it in practical ways. It's only me. It's a solo podcast. I did guests in the past, but I like to get people in and out and give them tips to help them live a more fulfilling life. So that's what the podcast is about. It's been going for, actually, May 20th is going to make 6 years. I can't believe it. It's been 6 years since I've been podcasting. Woo! And it's one of the top personal development podcasts on Apple. If you go there and you search personal development, you'll see me pop up in usually the 5 to 10 top shows on there, and highlighted for Black History Month. It's been a journey, and I just kept pushing even through the hard times. Started out recording in my closet on my phone, and I just progressed, and I just kept on pushing.
Congratulations on your accomplishments. I mean, I feel like we've been following each other for a while, like at least 2022, I want to say. And yeah, I've seen your growth. I've seen it all these years. So congratulations on that. And yeah, we all know about those closet days trying to record. You definitely even had some moments like that. So, trying to find a quiet place.
Absolutely. Got the clothes around you and everything. Like, hold on.
It's so true though. Well, congratulations on that. And the title Diligent Minds, where did it come from? Let me say, I'm gonna name my podcast this.
I wanted something to speak progressive. I want something to
Mhm.
speak to someone who's intentional about their growth. And
Mm.
it just came to me. I had a few other ones, but this one stuck. This one stuck with me. I was like, you know what? This one is talking about progression. Even with the logo, putting in all those words that are encouraging and telling people to push forward and just things that are uplifting. And that's where it just came from. It just came from me just scribbling, just thinking about the bigger picture. And that's where it started. I went with that and I just never turned back.
Oh my goodness, I love it. A great title too. It fits
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
obviously we know there's different personal development podcasts out there. Obviously, this is one as well. What makes your podcast stand out from similar podcasts, in your opinion?
I feel like for mine, especially with there's not too many black faces in the personal development space, especially black men. So I
Mhm.
think that one helps me stand out. Speaking to people that look like myself and just putting it in a practical way, not overcomplicating it, not saying this research and talking about these things that go over people's head. I just put it in a real. It's like you have a conversation with somebody in the living room, like you sitting there with some friends and relaxing, yeah, just chopping it up, having a conversation. And I like personal development to be easy to approach and easily digestible. I don't want to overcomplicate it and say these big things or all the things that I found out on the back end. I want to give you the hot topics on it or the things that really stand out that's going to help you the most.
And I love that because I feel like it makes it more relatable. Because we see a lot of shows today, like you said, they're using these big words. They're trying to like say outsmart everybody and make it seem like they never had those certain storms. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the best podcasts are just the real honest one, straight to the point, and could break it down. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so you kind of got into your personal development journey a little bit, but if you can remember, when did your journey in personal development start getting more serious? Like when you're like, you know what, I'm really taking this side of me serious.
That part of me happened when I was going through depression, where I said
Mm,
I have to fix this because
mm-hmm,
it was more of a friction because I knew that I wanted more. I just didn't know the answers and how to get there. I began to do things, but I was never consistent on them because I didn't know about habits. I didn't know about setting systems into place. I didn't know about beating the thoughts in my head and also that imposter syndrome as well. Dealing with that, telling myself I'm not good enough, comparing myself to others, thinking that my success is supposed to look linear, thinking that it's supposed to look like everybody else's that I see. And and then that's where it really began. I'm like, you know what? It's not true. Your journey is your journey because you're gonna have a 10 years of a backstory before you get to where you need to be. So I
mm-hmm,
need to embrace my story and hold on to it and use it as encouragement and bring people along the ride. Let them know the real. Like this shit. Oh, excuse my language, but this is not easy. This is not easy. This is something that you have to persist through, and you have to really trust yourself and believe in your vision.
mm-hmm.
And that's when I really embraced who I was. I embraced Dorian, like Dorian and his journey.
Yes, and y'all, I must say this is my first conversation of the day today, and you already got me amped for the rest of the day. So
Yeah, yeah.
I feel it. And speaking of, I know speaking of personal development and the journey, where do you see your brand in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see it. Well, I have a few things. Well, we'll speak on just diligent minds itself and personal development.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be one of those places where people can come and know that they're going to get quality information that's going to help them. I'm going to write another book, which I have my first book right behind me. I'll show you that as well. It's this
So
one
yeah,
here.
yeah, put it on. Yeah, there we go, guys.
So
There we go.
separating from the
Let me make
pack.
it stay on there. Make your screen big. There we
There
go.
we go. So we got separating from the pack. This is my first book. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
this actually going through one of my deepest moments of depression because I was just
Mm-hmm.
looking for answers, and that's where it came from. In the next few years, I want to write another. Well, I've already been writing another book about emotional awareness, especially for Black men. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's really big, and we don't know how to deal with conflicts. We don't know how to deal with emotions to be a better man, not just for ourselves, but also for the community, for the people that are around us. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing. And then I also have my own podcast company that I just started to help others get into podcasting. But that's a
Mm-hmm.
separate entity from Diligent Minds. But it kind of goes together as well because I talk about mindset sometime. And that's the main thing is just to really continue to grow it. Just continue to grow it in that aspect and add more resources and tools, more on my coaching, bring those things back up. So just more ways to help other people get back out in the community, get back out to speaking again, which I've already started to get back into. So that's where it goes. That's where it's going next.
Love it, love it. And also too, before we get into the episode, any new projects you want to shout out? I know you mentioned the YouTube panel on a post today.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything you want to shout out?
Oh yeah, you can check out the YouTube. I'm pretty sure we'll put the link down below. I also have my my podcast company called PodSpark Podcasting, where I help others begin podcasting. Got
Mhm.
free resources. Continue to give out resources with that because there's a lot of confusion with podcasting. People feel like they need these big images and these big names behind them. No, you can start with a small audience. You can even generate income with a small audience from podcasting. So that's one thing. And really just check out my Instagram and YouTube, and then you keep updated. Check out the podcast because that's where I'm at every single week, twice a week. You can find all the updates there as things continue to roll out. That's the short term. I got long term, like my hobbies and stuff like that. But this right here is what I'm working on at the moment.
Yes, thanks for shouting it all out. So you guys, and look, in honor of this amazing guest with a lot of nuggets to drop, we're gonna be talking about mindset. So tonight's episode is titled "Start with Mindset." So we're gonna be talking about the importance of rewiring your mindset, cutting back bad habits, all those things, and how it fuels your personal development. So let's get into the ask up question of the day. So those you listening out there, please comment your answer. Always go back and read the answers. I'm gonna go ahead and answer first, and I'll let you answer. The actual question of the day is, what is your favorite mindset book? So one of mine, I have too many actually, but I'm on top of my head. One of mine, I'm gonna name is Think and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
That book really changed my life when I first read it, like the way I view things and things like that. I don't know. It was just, I think that's on like, definitely my top three of one of my favorite mindset books.
Mhm.
What about you? What is one of your favorite mindset books?
I was actually gonna say that one, but I'm gonna use another one. I'll say
Mhm.
Universal Laws of Success
Mm,
by Brian
mm,
Tracy.
mhm.
It breaks down a lot of
Good
those
artist.
things, but into detail. So it gives out the foundation for developing a better mindset, just becoming a better person overall.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good author, by the way.
Hmm.
Shout out. Like, y'all, it's some good. Yeah, it's so much nuggets in just a book.
Hmm.
Like, you really take the
Absolutely.
time to read. I used to read a lot more. I need to really get back and really, put some time aside to really sit and read at least 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But
Hmm.
y'all, it's very helpful. Definitely one of my good habits, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys, let's talk about the importance of rewiring your mindset. Like you were saying before, so I'm, going off of my upbringing, there's a lot of things that were out of my control in my childhood. I feel like in our childhood, we don't control where we're born or things that we've seen or things we were taught. And as you become into your adulthood, you see how those things really affect you. Like,
Right.
especially if like there were negative experiences you face and things like that. So I would say in my mid 20s is when I really took rewiring my mindset very serious. Especially because too, I feel like when I went off to college, I went to UC Santa Cruz. Y'all got out of, I went to a different environment, I would say, and you see the world there. Like you said, you don't realize the world is as big as it is. So like even just getting out of your local neighborhood and going somewhere else, you just see different things, how different people think, different
Hmm.
mindsets and everything. So all those things come together. So, I want to say a good mindset fuels that growth. I used to, for those of you that know, I always talk about this. I used to battle very bad with negative self-talk. That was one of my like downers that affected my mindset. And I think as I've worked on that has helped me. So I have a question for you. What are some things that you fed your mind that has been beneficial to your personal development?
Just affirmations. They help me a lot.
Mm,
I write down affirmations that align with me, that
mhm,
align with where I want to go, and
mhm,
also that are a reminder that I'm not my past. I'm not the person that I thought I was, or the negative self-talk that you talk about.
mm,
I'm not my thoughts,
mhm,
and I only choose to accept what I choose to accept. So just because I'm telling myself something doesn't make it true. Only if I accept it or choose to acknowledge it. So
mhm.
those are some of the things I tell myself. Also, just what's something else I do? I like to journal. I love to journal,
Good one.
write out my thoughts, because writing out your thoughts and then looking at them and being able to tell yourself, is this actually true? Does this align with me? Does this align with who I like to become? Now, we're not talking about where we at right now, because we could get stuck into that. We can also lean into that and deal with the things society give us. But how are we going to
Mhm,
deal with these things? So
mhm.
those are some of my favorites right there.
And those are some good ones. And I want to say this about Instagram and like Twitter today. I kind of at first I didn't like how the algorithm followed things that you like. When you push like
Hmm.
on things and you start to see it on your thing. First I
Yeah.
used to be like, why is it showing the same stuff? But I'm starting to like it in the aspect of like I kind of get that kind of control of what I see.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I actually been taking advantage of that of like, yeah, what am I feeding my mind? So you're right. If I'm
Mhm.
on like some junk stuff. You know what I mean? That's not good for my mind 24/7. That's all you're going to see. But then looking at more positive things, educational things, seeing that on my timeline has actually been helping me, especially when I do have those days when I just want to scroll for a longer amount of time. So you guys, it is very important what we're feeding our minds. It's like that repetitiveness.
Exactly. And I actually want to add something on to what you said. That's one thing I want people to be mindful of as well. The things you see on social media, sometimes it gives validation to some of the negative self-talk that we have, or some of our negative thoughts. Just because it validates some of your bad decisions, and people are like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm gonna go ahead and share this meme. Like, that meme does not justify your actions. It doesn't make what you did right just because somebody agree with it. That still could be negative and still be harming as well.
Yeah, that's why we got to be careful what we're paying attention to, because you're right, there's a group literally for everything. You want to be in a hate group, you could be there. You want to be in a love group, you're right. That's a good one, you guys. So it is now time for the tweet up segment. I know I like to be on Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it. So something that I tweeted this week that goes with today's episode is, you can't rewire your mindset with habits. So habits play a huge role as well. So it goes, we were talking about scrolling, choosing to pick up a book. I like to use a fitness one. That's a big one. So y'all know I did a marathon. It was last year, early marathon. So I never in a million years dreamed of doing anything like that. That wasn't even on my bucket list or nothing like that. But the habit that I took on of running, that changed my mindset to where I'm like, wait a minute, I do want to sign up for one. So those little habits of like, I'm gonna run 2 miles, I'm gonna run 3 miles, and just like building up from there, that shifted the bad habit I had of not doing any type of physical movement, you know what I mean, to actually going towards a goal. So that's an example right there. But any thoughts on habits and mindset?
As far as habits that you want to pick up, or habits that I utilize?
Any thoughts on the topic?
I'll say, as far as your habits, think about things that are going to work for you. Do things that speak to you. Don't try to force yourself to do something just because someone else said it. What's something that you've always been interested in? What's something that you've always thought about? Go ahead and try something new. Make it a habit to try something new and challenge yourself. Get yourself out of your comfort zone, because inside your comfort zone is where comfort relies. That's like, hence the name of it. But growth relies outside your comfort zone. So try out new things. Don't hesitate, because you never know until you try it. So I recommend just trying something new.
Trying something new. That's a big one. We're going to do that this year. Trying something new. So speaking of habits, I guess, you can go into detail if you want. What are some daily habits that have helped you on your personal development journey?
For me, I like to have my morning routine is everything for me. I need to have my morning routine in place. That's my time for myself. Personally, my habits are, I like to wake up early between 4 and 5 o'clock. I like to hit the gym. I like to meditate, journal, pray. What else I like to do in my morning routine? Shower, just reflect, think about my day, think about the things from the past that I want to change, and how can I change them today. And just going forward, think about my short-term goals and just focusing on those, not necessarily thinking about the long term, because I make sure my short term align with those long-term goals. So it makes it easy for me just to focus on those and have the small wins for that day. So that's like really important for me. Another habit that I like to keep is just being positive, always putting positive out into the world, being that good that I want to see out there. I don't care what a person has. I don't care how a person look. I'm gonna smile at you. I'm gonna say, how you doing? Because you never know what that conversation may do for that person. You never know how their day is going up until they met you. So your interaction with me is going to be pleasant. And I always want to put that good out into the world, smile at others, ask how they're doing, and just be respectful, because I know that's a lost art in this world.
Oh, a lost art. And like MJ said, start with the man in the mirror. It's so crazy, like what you can bring to you by just changing yourself, and then how the environment around you can change with it. So that's a good one. And I love that you brought up the short-term goals, like turning into the long-term goals, because, I wanted to add this on. Don't be afraid to make the small changes. Those small changes over time create the big change. So
absolutely, they compound on top of each other. So what you do every single day is going to determine how your future turns out.
Yeah, it's like that book, The Compound Effect. So it all goes with it. It is now time for the Life Up segment. So Life Up segment is when I take the topic and I relate it to a problem in today's world. So tonight's Life Up is expecting things to change with no change, refusing to do the work to grow, And then you mentioned this one, getting comfortable in the comfort zone. So these are really big ones that go with today's episode. I'm big on that. Nothing changes, nothing changes. I love that quote so much because
Yeah.
it's true. Because it's like, how many times have we sat in something and we complained, but then we didn't really do anything about it? And I think
Mhm.
all the time we spend doing that, the energy could be placed into making a small change. And I've been learning to really give credit to the small movements, because those actually make the big ones ultimately.
Right.
Speaking of the comfort zone, you kind of mentioned it. Has there been a time when you found yourself comfortable in the comfort zone? If so, how did you pivot through it?
Yeah, I found myself getting comfortable in my excuses in the
Mm.
past. Getting comfortable in my excuses, justifying my lack of action.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told myself that in order for me to get out of this, I have to change that. I have to do that mindset shift that we speak on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I felt myself set in for so long. And I feel like I chose that because that made the biggest difference in my life. Biggest difference on how I showed up for myself. Biggest difference on how I held myself accountable and just began to witness my own growth.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I sit there and I find excuses and I'll complain, but I wouldn't do anything about it
Mm-hmm.
until I told myself, you have to hold yourself accountable. You are the one that's going to save you. Not the person that you're giving a phone call to, not the person you're complaining to, not these videos you're watching. None of this stuff is going to save you until you do it. You have to make that change. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how long the road may feel, it's up to you. You have to get up and do the work. Nobody's going to do it for you. Like you said, nothing changes if nothing changes.
That's a good answer, because
Mhm.
I feel like we don't underestimate the power of self-reflection. You all know how many hard conversations I had to really have with myself. Sometimes you really got to sit with yourself and know that, and acknowledge when you're in your own way. I
Mhm.
had a few comments with myself like that. They weren't easy. It was like, because like you said, it's easy to blame others or blame a scenario, but sometimes when you're really sitting with yourself, it's like, okay, there's some spots where I can tidy up something. So
Mhm. Yeah,
they,
just look for the growth.
yeah.
Look for that growth. Room for improvement.
Yes, room for improvement.
Mhm.
And how do we fix this, you guys? Yeah, as you were just saying, I like what you said about the self-reflection. That's a big one. Stop making excuses. I would say making a change and acknowledging that the work is a part of the process. I think anything that we start is going to take hard work, right? Me and you both, I think I would say, yeah, Speak Up JV's been around 6 years as well. Both
Mhm.
for doing our podcast, right? 6 years. But I feel like we were both afraid of the work. We would have been stopped.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
I was just actually on the phone with one of my friends yesterday saying this. I was like, I used to be kind of like afraid to say, "Oh, I've been doing the podcast 4 years. I've been doing the podcast 5 years," because it's like, it's ultimately not at the moment where I completely want it to be, right? But then
Mhm.
I'm like, no, that's actually some beauty in that. The fact, when you have years on top of something, because it shows how
Mhm.
dedicated you are to it, and
Yeah.
how you're not afraid of the hard work that comes with it. So I'm
Mhm.
actually looking at it in a different way. I'm in a positive light versus like, oh, I've been doing it this long. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy you say that because I talk about that just in general, just in life, but also on my podcast company on the course that I created. I
Mhm.
tell people it's not about you having a large audience, it's not about you being this getting all these shares and getting all this recognition on social media. Do you know how many successful people there are that are happy and people don't even know that they exist?
Mhm.
And who's to say that success is all about everybody acknowledging you? Because success is subjective. Your success for you
Mhm.
could just be you showing up every day because of that self-doubt that you had. The girl in the mirror where you look like, you know what? Damn, I'm showing up for myself every day. 4 years ago, I wouldn't do this. Now I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of where I'm going. And everything else is just a benefit on top of that. So we have to change the perspective when we look at things, especially when it comes to success in any part of our craft, any part of our life. How are you showing up for yourself today compared to yesterday, day before, years ago?
Mhm. Yeah, the beautiful answer.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and and also too, just like, let's say you're you want to impact lives. I just did an episode on impact lives. It's coming out soon.
Mhm.
If it's one life, two lives, sometimes that is that goal, and
Mhm.
creating that domino effect. So
Yeah.
I love that. And y'all, don't be afraid to take risks. Risk is a part of it too. Investing in yourself. I think sometimes it's funny how, let's say one of your friends is about to do something, right? And you want to like support, so you buy something from them, whatever. But it's crazy how easy it is for us to invest in others. But it's like, why with ourselves sometimes it's like, oh. And I think don't be afraid to invest in yourself. I've been learning the beauty of that as well over the
Yeah.
years, especially in my adulthood. So, speaking of podcasts and interviews, if you could interview any celebrity on your podcast, who would it be and why? Or influencer,
Um,
anything? Yeah.
Who would I interview? Actually, I interviewed this guy named Dr. Cornell West.
I've heard of
He's
him.
he's an older gentleman, and I've heard his other interviews, and he's been around. He's been around with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and he's just so insightful. He have a lot of great conversations and stories, and just his wealth of his bank of knowledge is fascinating to me. I love to interview him and just pick his brain and dive deep onto how he got into these places and how he's able to interpret things the way that he interprets them and tell these stories the way he tell them. And actually, he was on the presidential nomination for 20. What was the past one that we just had? He was on there. He put himself up there. I think he was an independent. He's one person that I interview. He's one person I would interview.
Okay, we manifesting it. So, speaking of interviews and stuff like that, what's a networking tip that has helped you on your journey?
Just reaching out to people, reaching out, not feeling like anyone's bigger than you just because of their name or their platform, and being yourself, being authentically you. Just showing up as yourself, showing up confident in your work, not being afraid about where you are compared to the person that you want to speak to, and manifesting it, just speaking it into existence. And I'll just go and I'll speak and I'll just represent myself proudly. No matter where I'm at, tell people what I do, who I am. You don't necessarily have to tell them your goals, but tell them where you are. And if you believe in what you're saying, other people will believe it. If you believe in and you had a confidence and you show that and it's displayed, people are like, okay, this dude, he really talking about, he's really actually doing it. So just going up, shaking people's hands and letting them know what I do and just being confident in it.
Yes, and honestly, y'all, confidence is key for real. So love that. Great tip, y'all. It is now time for the drink up segment. So if you're out there listening, please drink some water. And I got a water fact for today. Today's water fact is drinking water won't lower your blood sugar levels, but staying hydrated can help you manage them if you have diabetes. Regularly drinking enough water is healthy, and research has linked it to reduce risk of high blood sugar and diabetes, according to Zoe.com. So drink some water, y'all. Water is just so good for you. I like to just emphasize this every episode. I don't care if it's hot or cold outside. Make sure you stay hydrated. So that was the water fact for tonight. Back to the episode for today. Now back to the episode. So, what keeps you motivated when things get challenging?
My why. Having a strong why. My reason for doing it. Why am I doing this? Why did I begin in the first place? That's one thing that's really essential for not just me, but anybody. If you're doing something and you're going to have tough days. So what is your why? That's my reason for getting up every day. That's my reason for just pushing through all the perseverance that I've pushed through with and showed. It comes from me knowing the reason I'm doing it. That's my reason for going.
And for you personally, I know you mentioned your why. Are you the person that has like your why written down? Do you have a picture of it somewhere? Or you kind of just keep it in your mind when you're having those moments?
I keep it in my mind. I definitely just keep it in my mind. I know that I want to change lives, and I know that I'm going to change millions of lives, and knowing what the long-term goal is to even help with that and build a bigger impact. That keeps me going. That keeps me like excited. I get excited for that. When I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, you doing it. You gonna be that person. You on your way there. You doing the work now. You building that wall brick by brick.
Okay. Yeah, remember your why. That's a big one. It is now time for the show up segment. So if you're out there listening, please comment. I would love to hear you guys' answers to the show up segment. So how did I show up for myself this week? Ooh, I feel like we still early in the week, ain't we? How did I show up for myself this week? You know what? I showed up for myself this week by working on my worrying. I feel like just letting things be. I think, like I said, I'm a person whose mind's always racing, and I kind of had a week where I just like took it a little slower, like just had a nice calm week, and it's actually been benefiting me and keeping me recharged to get through the rest of the week. So what about you? How did you show up for yourself this week?
This week, let's see. What did I do this week? Oh, I did. I took a moment for myself early morning. I went for a run at the beach and just went there to reflect and just reground myself, because I felt overwhelmed and I just felt like there was a lot going on the past few weeks, and I just hadn't taken a moment to pause for myself. So that was one thing I really needed. It was relaxing. It felt good to be around the water, put my feet in it and everything. It was cold in the morning running, but I still pushed through. My ears were cold, but that was one way I showed up for myself this week. And yeah, I think that's one that stands out.
You got out there. Look, it never like it's I love the beach in the morning. That's
Hmm.
amazing. And I feel like it's a good way to calm your mind too. So that's a
Hmm.
good way to show up.
Yeah, and that's what
Okay.
I needed for sure because my mind was racing. Like, dude, shut up, man. Why are you talking about this? Why are you even thinking about it? So just be quiet.
Sometimes we have to like zap ourselves back to normal.
Yeah,
I feel it.
yeah.
So you gave a networking tip already. So let's get more into podcasting. What's a piece of advice you give to a person starting their own podcast? So they want to jump off the porch and just do it, but it's
Mhm.
like, ooh,
Okay. All right. So I have
here
a
we
few
go.
tips. We'll start with again, we start with our why. Why do you want to begin podcasting? Because that's going to push you through those moments that we talk about of not getting where you want to be fast enough, not understanding why things aren't going the way that you want. Also knowing who you're going to talk to. Who do you want to connect with? Because sometimes we feel like we need to connect with everyone, but if your audience is everyone, no one is your audience.
Mm.
So focus on your people. Who are the ideal people that you'd like to sit in the living room and have a conversation with? And if you're holding this conversation, where would you like the conversation to go? What problems would you like to help them solve? What experience do you want them to have when they had this conversation with you? Or if you interviewing people, what type of interaction would you like your guest to have? And what would a guest, not your guest, but your listeners get from this conversation or this interaction? So think about that when you begin the podcast. Also, don't underestimate audio podcasting. Everyone wants to have all the clips and everything, but audio podcasting is an audio first medium, and also podcasting is like more valuable in audio because you have a more engaged listener because people have to take you with them on their day, and you're going to become part of their routine. They're going to expect you. They like to listen to you when you work out. They like to listen to you when they clean their house. They're not just like on videos where they're looking on YouTube, Instagram. They see a few seconds, scroll. All right, I'm not invested in this. But audio podcast listeners are not valued as much as they should be. So don't
Mhm.
throw out audio. You can always add video on later or just make little clips here and there. But that's a few tips that stand out.
Oh my god, those are some great tips. Like I
Mhm.
love it. Like I like how you just said just start. And I like that you brought up the audio part because this podcast too originally just started just as audio. And it's crazy because I knew I knew it had something when we didn't have the best equipment at first, right? So it was
Mhm.
like and everything. However, people still listened, and like you said, they were taking it with them. Like people were like, "Yeah, I was cleaning up the house and I turned it on," and things like that. So
Yeah.
yes, that audio part, and I think that's just today's world where it's like
Mhm.
you got to see everything. But old school podcast listeners really just want to listen, like that's
Yeah.
the show, literally. Like
Exactly. You get people through traffic. You getting people through
mhm.
their workout, through all types of stuff. And
Traffic is a big one, especially
yeah,
LA. Okay, so
exactly. I actually want to throw one more tip on there.
yes.
You can monetize a small podcast.
Mhm.
Don't listen to these people. Don't think you need big brand deals. You can have a small audience and think about how can you solve their problem? What service can you offer? What products can you put out? Can you put on your own events? Things like this, or you just ask for listener support. Like, hey, look, if you like the show, you want to donate whatever you can afford, go ahead and donate down below. And there's so many resources and things you can use to make an income off of a podcast, even with a small audience.
Look, hope y'all taking notes. Look, he dropping the
Mhm.
nuggets today.
Yeah.
So no, that's real. That's real. Great tips right away. Great tips. So I love to ask all my guests a fun question. So your fun question is if you can have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, all right. Let's see
I'm
what we're gonna
curious.
do. Oh, superpower.
Any
Anyone.
superpower. Yeah.
Mm, I say, dang, I don't know. What
Or
would I
you
prefer?
compare yourself to a superhero if you could be any superhero with their power.
I choose power. I don't know if you I say, dang, I'm lingering this on. I say I'll be able to read minds.
I knew you was gonna say that.
No.
That's the weirdest thing because I read your mind saying that. That's a good one. But really, you want to read your mind? But what if so you don't think that'll mess with you all day? Like you hearing their thoughts? And it's like I
Nah,
think
it
I'll
let me
go
know.
crazy.
Nah, it let me know how I can approach a person, how I can deal with them. Let me
Okay,
know.
so you
All
just
right,
gonna be
am I gonna
like,
waste my time? Am I gonna waste my time with this person, or can I just go ahead and just push along? I think that's the first one that came to mind. I don't know, but that's the first one that came to mind right
okay.
now.
Well,
I
let
see
me
the
know how
future.
that go when you get that power. I want to hear about it.
I got you. I'm reading your mind right now.
I read yours though, so I think I got it. It is now time for the wrap up segment. How does this relate to self love? Self love, loving yourself enough. So what is the best for yourself? So what can you rewire your mindset? I think let's take care of ourselves, one day at a time, and it starts in the mind. Okay. So, how do you practice self love?
Self love. I just embrace who I am. I just love every version of me, good, bad, all my insecurity. Well, I wouldn't say all, but the insecurities that I may have, I learn to love myself with that because I know I'm a work in progress. The learn to love, not just love who love me, but just feed into the people that feed into me as well. So that was one thing, because sometimes I can isolate myself. I can just get so focused, and sometimes I need to allow others to pour into me that want to, and I need to pour back into those people as well. And it feels good when I allow that, when I let down that wall. So that's one thing. So another self-love is doing stuff for me, being selfish sometimes. And sometimes I want to give more to others than I give to myself, but I have to remember I can't pour from an empty cup. I cannot pour from an empty cup. So just pouring back into me.
Well said. And I love to ask my guests all this question as a final question. What do you want to be remembered for?
I just want to be remembered as a cool person that was positive, that wanted to help others, that did what he said he was going to do. Someone who always gave more than he could. Someone who always poured into other people no matter what, and just wanted others around him better. I want them to remember me as that.
Okay. Love it. I love it. And remember, you guys, don't hold yourself back with old ways and allow yourself to evolve. I feel like that's like one of the main things of personal development is evolving. So let's do this beautiful journey. And I say beautiful, the ugly's beautiful too in the journey of it. I appreciate you coming on here, dropping nuggets and just sharing your story and sharing the tips. Before we go, can you shout your information out where people find you and follow you?
Yes, you can check out my social media, Dorian Jones _. You can find me there. You can also find my YouTube, which is Dorian Jones Official, or we'll put the link down below, and you can find it there. Or you can reach to me on my website, DorianJones.com. Where else can you reach me? Wherever you find podcasts, you can search Diligent Minds or Dorian Jones, and I'll pop right up. You'll see me there, and just reach out anywhere. I'm here. I'm a person that's available to help others, available to coach. So all these different things, if you need any type of help with mindset, habits, just growth overall, you don't have the answers, you feel unaligned, I got you. Don't even worry about it. We're gonna make sure you're right. So just reach out to me and say hello.
Make sure y'all say hello. Great job. I appreciate y'all tapping into this episode. Make sure y'all follow SpeakUpJV at SpeakUpJV. My personal is at Vernisa. Tell your friends about SpeakUpJV. We'll be back next week with another cool episode. And make sure y'all tap in, okay, with this amazing guest. Love y'all. Take care.